Marriage is the beautiful design of the Almighty, a great and sacred mystery, meant to be a vivid example of Christ and his church. God, the perfect Father, knew his children, Adam and Eve, would fall before they sinned. Yet he still created, still pursued, and laid down his life for them. In other words, he knew you and I would be a flawed human being, yet still wanted relationship with us. Revelation 13:8, you know the verse. It says that Jesus is the Lamb that was slain, what? Before the foundation of the world. That means that his destiny was predetermined long before he took on human flesh and became a man. Long before there was a creation. Long before you and I were formed in our mother's womb. Long before we took a step. Long before we fell or were injured in relationships or hurt people. He laid down his life for us. Because nothing will keep his eyes off you and I. Every step or misstep that we've made was ordained to bring us to this very moment in our life. And Scripture says so much of our life, and if you're married here today, our marriage remains a mystery. Even if you're a child watching your parents in marriage, it sometimes can remain a mystery. When our kids were growing up younger, Jasmine was always the one that kind of led the kids. She was older, and if we would have a disagreement and the boys were a little concerned, she'd always say, "Oh, don't worry about it. They'll get through it. They'll forgive each other. They'll be fine." But for the boys, and even for some times there with Jasmine, maybe she was even unsure and she thought it was a mystery. How is it? It seems like you can be from 0 to 60 like that. Come on, and the church said. Don't act like I'm the only one in here. And when you think of the word mystery, you think of something difficult to explain or impossible to understand. In fact, the best mystery novels, plays, or movies are those that keep you on the edge of your seat, entertaining you with storylines with a puzzling twist or unresolved problem or secret that you can't figure out until the very end. In Bible terms, a mystery is an enigma, a religious truth that one can only know by revelation and cannot fully understand without it. And so there are seasons in my life where God has revealed through revelation certain things. And back then I thought, I got it. And when I didn't have it, he'd reveal something else. And then I would think, what? I got it. And as I continued to move forward, I began to realize that oftentimes through revelation, God is simply teaching us the same thing through different teachers. Teaching us the same thing through different books of the Bible. Come on. Teaching us the same thing through different seasons of our life where we can hear certain things. So much that my wife has gotten to the point where if we are going through something and we disagree about something, she'll say, "Okay, I'll wait for God to give you that one." I hate when she does that, but she said, "I'll wait for God." Why does God have to give it to me? Why can't he give it to you? But a mystery is an enigma. Our secrets constantly being revealed and unfolded and manifested for us to experience more about Christ and his love. In other words, this mystery that we're speaking about, there will be times in your life where you have no clue what you're doing. You have no clue what you're doing in marriage, what you're doing in parenting, what you're doing in your life, because it's a mystery. And oftentimes, God needs you to take steps that he has preordained to reveal what he's trying to teach you in your life. In fact, he said, when you take steps, I'll be the voice in your ear saying, go right and go left. Oftentimes, it's steps of faith. Yes. Where he tells Abraham, go to a place I will not show you. But God reveals secret things. Jeremiah 33:3, he said, call to me and I will answer and I will tell you great and mighty things that you do not know. Proverbs 25:2 says, it is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings to search a matter out. And so you and I exist to solve mysteries in our life, to take fearless steps of destiny, no matter how scary they are, to not run from marriage because we were abandoned by a parent or a spouse through the divorce, to not be afraid to have children one day because we did not have a present mother or father. And the love chapter in 1 Corinthians 13 is a mystery in itself. It's a reminder of everything we are not, but we are called to be. 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 7. And when we get to around verse 4, I'm not sure if we had a chance to get that last slide this morning up. Do you know?
The two white slides?
Yes. Okay. Perfect. When we get to verse 4, I'll go to a slide real quickly, but 1 Corinthians 13:1, Passion's translation, Jason, says this, if I were to speak with eloquence in earth's many languages and the heavenly tongues of angels, yet I did not express myself with love, my words would be reduced to the hollow sound of nothing more than a clanging cymbal. And if I were to have the gift of prophecy with a profound understanding of God's hidden secrets, and if I possessed unending supernatural knowledge, and if I had the greatest gift of faith that could move mountains, but have never learned to love, then I am nothing. And if I were to be so generous to give away everything I own to feed the poor, and to offer my body to be burned as a martyr without the pure motive of love, I would gain nothing of value. Because obedience is better than sacrifice. That's why it's easy for men to sacrifice, but hard for us to obey. We walk on the outside of the curb, so we get hit first. Come on. We say things like, I'm working late hours for you and the kids, baby, but have difficulty obeying her heart when she says, your work schedule is ruining our marriage and family. But first, verse 4 outlines obedience in love as this, and I want you to just see it, and I have a slide where I've inserted my name. It's the EPT, Ed's Passion Translation. and as I go through this exercise, you get to do it as well when you get home and highlight or underline and pray through the things that you had to stop at because it wasn't you. Does that make sense? Can we show that slide, Jason or Pastor Sam? 1 Corinthians 13:4. Here's what it says, and I hope that we'll get it up. And if not, I'm going to read it. It's fine. They told me to wait. I can't wait that long, but I'm going to wait for you just a bit. But I'm going to read it while they try to get it up, okay? And this is just the Ed's Passion Translation, where it says, Ed is large and incredibly patient. Well, I used to be large. I'm losing weight right now, but I'm trying to get there. But it says, Ed is large and incredibly patient. Again, everywhere you see the word love, you insert your name. Ed is gentle and consistently kind to all. Ed refuses to be jealous when blessing comes to someone else. Ed does not brag about one's achievements or inflate its own importance. Ed does not traffic in shame or disrespect, nor selfishly seeks his own honor. Ed is not easily irritated or quick to take offense. I would have stopped a long time ago. Ed joyfully celebrates, some of you are laughing, I appreciate that. So Ed joyfully celebrates honesty and finds no delight in what's wrong. Ed is a safe place of shelter, for he never stops believing the best in others. Ed never takes failure as a defeat, for he never gives up. Now, we have to learn to be honest with ourselves. We have to learn to love people. It doesn't just happen naturally. It isn't just felt and then transmitted. Love is not a feeling. It is a choice that we make. You may have felt that you got. I heard my pastor say this years ago. You may have felt that you were married by chance, but you make a choice to stay married, to stay in that relationship. And passion is not enough. We need to be men and women of conviction. What is conviction? Conviction is to be fully convinced. It is profound. When passion leaves a relationship, it's conviction that will keep you planted in the relationship. It's conviction that will keep you planted in the church and on the job. And so love is not just a feeling, it is work. Come on, just look at someone and say, love is work. It is work. We learn, we love, we hurt, we lay down our lives. We suffer, we grieve, we mature, we grow, we forgive, we move on. But everything requires work. Your dream, your marriage, your career, your relationships, your health, bad habits, therapy, everything, exercise, everything requires work. No one's going to come in the morning and kick you out of bed to go and walk and go and pray and read the Word of God. Nothing moves until we do. Nothing changes until we change something. It's all work. Come on, just tell someone it's work. It's work. Come on, tell them it's work. Look at someone, tell them it's work. It's work. We have to have a work ethic. Come on. Not just on our jobs. We have to have a work ethic in love. We have to have, as my wife says, attention to detail. A passionate relationship with what we are doing. My wife and I are on a nutritionist plan, and I've told you before, I've gotten myself from 205 to about 179 or something like that, 178. And thank you. I'm still working on myself, but I sometimes have. I'm supposed to have one cheat day, and I have 2 cheat days, but I'm still working. Still working on that. And we've been cooking more. And she's taught me how to make a few new dishes, chicken curry and Indian dal and a few other dishes, because before she gave me the lesson, I made some taco meat that she didn't like. And she told me as I was making it, she said, this taco meat doesn't taste right because you're too transactional. She said, you need to have a relationship with your food. You need to love when you cook. These onions are too big. You need to dice them and cut them smaller. You're just trying to get it over with. You need to treat these onions with love and respect. And as a result, that's her go-to now. When I'm doing skincare with her, she says, you're going too fast. You need to have a relationship with your skin. You don't just rub moisturizer on your skin forcefully on your face. You can't just be transactional. You have to massage the moisturizer with your fingers, and you've got to go upwards because that's loving your skin. Recently, I was looking for Kleenex for her in the closet because she wasn't feeling well, and I couldn't find it. And the next day, she had Kleenex. I said, I was going to the store to find, where'd you get the Kleenex? She said, it's in the closet. I said, I went in the closet. It wasn't there. She said, that's because you're transactional. You didn't pursue the Kleenex with passion. That's why you didn't find it. So last night, I gave her some emergency. You know, you can put some emergency in a little cup, small cup, make a little shot with it. And it was a little too bitter for her. She said, oh, I don't like this. How many did you put in there? I said, I put one. You told me to put one. It's one in there. She said, it's so bitter. I said, this is a time when you have to be transactional. You can't swirl the emergency in your mouth and want to taste it. Just take that down. Here's some water. Come on, look at someone and say, love takes work. Come on. Love takes work. It takes work. We have to conceive, and we have to nurture, and we have to go into labor to birth something new in our life. 1 Corinthians 15:46 says the spiritual didn't come first, but the natural, what? Precedes the spiritual. And when living water breaks and the spiritual potential of what's inside of you is ready to come out, it's going to be painful. John 16:19-21, Jesus said this about the labor process. He said, let me make it quite clear, you will weep and be overcome with grief over what happens to me. The unbelieving world will be happy while you will be filled with sorrow. But know this, your sadness will turn into joy when you see me again. Just like a woman giving birth experiences intense labor pains in delivering her baby, yet after the baby is born, she quickly forgets what she went through because of the overwhelming joy of knowing that a new baby has been born into the world. Some of you are in seasons in your life where you're carrying something so beautiful in your heart that you're no longer resentful of the pain that birthed it. But there are many, unfortunately, that keep reliving the pain so much that they have no strength to birth what God has put inside of them. 1 Corinthians 2:9 says this, you know it, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, nor no human mind has conceived the things God has prepared for those who love him, but these are the things God has revealed to us. He first loved us. That means his love is the source of our love. His forgiveness is the source of our forgiveness. His strength is the source of my strength. His glory and faith is the source of my faith. 1 Corinthians 13:8-12. Jason, if you'll give me that in the Passion Translation. It says this, love never stops loving. Come on, look at someone and say, don't stop loving. Love never stops loving. That is our character, the character of God. It extends beyond the gift of prophecy, which eventually fades away. It's more enduring than tongues, which will one day fall silent. Love remains long after words of knowledge are forgotten. Our present knowledge and our prophecies are but partial. But when love's perfection arrives, the partial will fade away. He says, then when I was a child, I spoke about childish matters, for I saw things as a child and reasoned like a child. But the day came when I matured and set aside my childish ways. He then says, for now we see but a faint reflection of riddles and mysteries as though reflected in a mirror. But one day we'll see face to face. My understanding is incomplete now, but one day I will understand everything just as everything about me has been fully understood. And so God is love. He is a reflection of perfection. And for now, we only see an enigma of the love that should pour out of us. But it is a constant riddle and mystery how to become it. Yet despite the worst of us, God has perfected it. Come on, look at someone and say, despite the worst of you, God is perfecting the best of you. Come on, touch yourself and say, despite the worst of me, God is perfecting the best of me. James said this in chapter 1, we perceive how God sees us in the mirror of the word, but then go out and forget our divine origin. Instead, we behave like our family of origin. This morning, as you prepared for church, you saw a reflection in the mirror, but it was not the real thing. It simply prepared how we would see you today. It prepares us, the reflection prepares us for face-and-face encounters with people on our jobs, with people in our family. Some prepared more than others. Our reflection exposes the areas that are unwashed and ungroomed in our life. But as I walk in Him, my understanding may be incomplete, but the complexion of His reflection in me gets clearer every day I trust Him. Every day I move towards my destiny with steps that He's ordained. Ephesians 5 says He laid down His life to present Himself a bride without spot nor wrinkle. And Jesus came to restore the fountain of youth that was lost in the garden. Because the first Adam brought death and brought deterioration and aged us. But as the second Adam, He came to bring life everlasting to us. And the truth is, you and I must become like little children before we become a bride in His kingdom. He said this in Ephesians 5:27, Passion Translation. All that He does in us as we're taking steps of destiny, steps that He's ordained, is designed to make us a mature church for His pleasure until we become a source of praise to Him, glorious and radiant, beautiful and holy, without fault or flaw. Because while spiritual gifts and looks and charisma fade away, God's love is permanent. God's love reverses the aging process and values the voice and the gift that people have silenced. When we die, they will bury our positions and our title with us. But how we love stays alive in the people we poured it into, stays alive in our children, stays alive in our marriage. We understand that we have the ability to impact people with our legacy. I've been reading the Song of Songs and just seeing a side of God that I've not really seen before. It was really a difficult book in the past when I've read it. And I've just been seeing sides of Him that I'm not, that I want to climb to. And I've been realizing that God is a master romantic. Unrivaled and unlimited are His thoughts of you and I. And I want to just share with you a few verses that God has been speaking to me in Song of Songs, and then I'm going to pray with you. Song of Songs 8:1 in the Passion Translation says, if I could only show everyone this passionate love and desire I have for you, if I could only express it fully, no matter who was watching me, without shame or embarrassment. What keeps us from loving the way God loves? The shame and embarrassment that people may have put us through, or the shame and embarrassment that we've experienced in our life. The people who we may have loved but didn't give it back. The people we trusted but who were not trustworthy. The people who were absent while we remained present. Our love prevents us from fully expressing God's love, but His love is perfect. His love is permanent. His love drives out all fear. And so here are the two things I want to leave you with that I'm learning out of the Song of Songs rather. And I want to show it to you in the book of Songs 8, 6 through 7. It says, fasten me upon your heart as a seal of fire forevermore. This living, consuming flame will seal you as a prisoner of love. My passion is stronger than the chains of death and the grave, all consuming as the very flashes of fire from the burning heart of God. Place this fierce, unrelenting fire over your entire being. Rivers of pain and persecution will never extinguish this flame. Endless floods will be unable to quench this raging fire that burns within you. Everything will be consumed. Come on, say that. Everything will be consumed. It will stop at nothing as you yield everything to this furious fire until it won't seem like a sacrifice anymore. And God says through Song of Songs, everything will be consumed. Bitterness will be consumed. Grudges will be consumed. Family dysfunction will be consumed. Rejection and divorce and hurts, wounds and trauma and depression will be consumed. As we learn to love like Jesus through trials, eventually it won't just be a discipline, it will become a delight. It won't feel like a begrudging sacrifice anymore, but rather a seal on our life, a call of duty. The ancient Hebrew word for seal is also translated as prison cell. Seal as prison cell. God's love has imprisoned us with a life sentence in His presence, to become a love prisoner with Him, to never break out of the character and the way He loves for anyone, to never let anyone change how He loves, how He gives, how He forgives through us, no matter what they have done to us. Why? Because no matter what we have done to Him, He loves, He forgives, He pursues us. Proverbs 20:20 says, if you despise your father or mother, your life will flicker out like a lamp, extinguished into deepest darkness. Why? Because harboring unforgiveness affects you more than them. They may have not been present. They may have rejected you. They may have given you up for adoption. But Jesus adopted you into His family. They may have betrayed you. They may have silenced you. They may have never told you that they love you. But oh, how He loves you. And because of His love, I don't have to perpetuate the generational sin of doing things the wrong way. I can forgive. If you're unsure about that, next Sunday afternoon, Marsha, I can forgive. And remember, in forgiveness, God never told us to trust people, but he said we have to forgive them. Forgiveness is not trust. And we don't let people irresponsible with our forgiveness to pressure us with trust. And so his love imprisons us to be like him for a lifetime, because his love is permanent. Number two, his love leaps over mountains of separation. Song of Songs 2, 8 through 10. Love leaps over mountains of separation. Song of Songs 2, 8 through 10. Listen, I hear my lover's voice. This is the Shulamite bride speaking. I know it's him coming to me, leaping with joy over mountains, skipping in love over the hills that separate us to come to me. Let me describe him. He is graceful as a gazelle, swift as a wild stag. Now he comes closer, even, watch this, to the places that I hide. He gazes into my soul in the hidden places, peering through the portal as he blossoms within my heart. The one I love calls to me. When we were little, we played a game called hide and go seek. And we go and hide. And we try to remain as quiet as possible. Why? Because we were hiding. And we didn't want to be found. But just like in the beginning, there wasn't a tree that could have hidden Adam and Eve from his eyesight. God knows where we've been hiding. And he watches. And he chases. And he pursues the place we've hid in our heart so no one else can break it. He knows where we are. Nothing ever separates us from his love or his eyesight. The things that we submerged in our life because we were supposed to be a man, God knows those things that are hidden on the inside of you. The things that we thought we had to be bulletproof with because we were men, God knows how to find those things in your life. Even if you never had an earthly father to pull it out, God knows how to pull out the things we have hidden that we're carrying in our life for years and decades. He is a master romantic. He peers through the places we have been hiding to find us. And he doesn't let his holiness or the failure of us to meet his expectations separate us from his love. As I was reading this, God began to speak to me as a husband. I need to leap over the hills and the differences that separate me from my wife and family in disagreement. We must, as husbands, not let anything keep us from her. When she hides, we must walk gracefully towards her to ensure we don't intimidate her. The Shulamite bride said in a Song of Songs 5:14, see how his hands hold unlimited power, but he never uses it for anger. For he is always holy, displaying his glory. His innermost place is a work of art. How magnificent and noble is this one, covered in majesty. Touch yourself. How is the innermost place of your heart today? Has it been vandalized? Or is it a place of art? God can make a masterpiece out of your messes. He said this in Proverbs 2:11 through 13. The season has changed. The bondage of your barren winter has ended, and the season of hiding is over and gone. The season for singing and pruning the vines has arrived. The early signs of my purposes and plans are bursting forth. The budding vines of new life are blooming everywhere. The fragrance of their flowers whispers, there is change in the air. Arise, my love, my beautiful companion, and run with me to the higher place. For now is the time to arise and come away with me. Come on, someone just say, change is coming. Come on, look at someone and say, change is coming. Come on, find someone else, say, change is coming. Change is in the air. Change is coming. No matter what you've squandered in the past, change is coming to our future. Because God never repeats old things. He does a new thing. When he brings us into his kingdom, he gives us a relocation package. By his power, he relocates the minor offenses, the foxes that keep destroying our vine and our marriage and relationships far away from us. As I was reading this mandate to leap over the mountains that separate me from my wife, I was a bit intimidated. Because Pastor Chris, I didn't have this as a blueprint from a father. My mom was a strong, single woman. She wasn't so submissive. And she didn't lay down for anyone. She never backed down from a fight. She's very black and white, very gray. And I've learned as I was reading that the husband skips in love over the mountains of separation to find his bride who is hiding. I began to be intimidated if I could pull something like this off. Because I'm a very opinionated person. And I learned from my caregivers not to back down from a fight. And I realized I had to begin to unlearn some things and rewire my brain a bit, but I also realized that just because God was giving me revelation of something, he was not going to leave me alone just there. Because everything taught must be tested. There was going to be a testing period. Because God is a good enough teacher to know that we don't know a thing unless we're doing it. Come on. There was going to be a testing season where I could live out what he's trying to show me. In other words, practice was coming. Come on, just say that. Practice is coming. Come on, say that. Practice is coming. As husbands in this house today, as men in this house today that will marry someone in the future, practice is coming. Practice is coming for you to get the reps of leaping over the mountains that separate you from the ones that you love. Then I remembered that sometimes when I would get angry with the new, I would have a silent war. Don't look at me like that. Come on. Those wars where you walk into a room and you know that the other person is mad, but they don't say anything. Those wars where you say, hey, is everything all right? And she says, I'm fine. And I remembered how I would walk in those silent wars with her where I would not, while she was speaking, I wasn't listening. I was getting my response ready in the midst of what she was listening. And I wasn't a great comforter to her if while we were talking about things, she'd begin to cry. And I thought about this uphill battle of leaping over the mountains of separation and finding the bride that's hiding. And I said, God, I don't know how I can do this. Then I thought, let me tell her what God showed me, so I can just be accountable and she'll know that God's teaching me something new. But it wasn't enough for me to do that. I needed to just keep my mouth shut. I needed to hold my peace and wait for the testing season. And then begin to, when I wanted to say something, begin to skip in love over the mountains of separation and find her heart that was hiding. And as I was thinking about the impossibility of this, I heard the song from Maverick City that said Mary, that was the old rendition of, newer rendition of Mary, Did You Know? And the song began to say, the lame will leap. I said, God, every area in my life that's lame, you promised it would leap. And if the lame can leap, I can leap over the mountains that separate me. Then I started thinking how much we're taught to change nations. How much we pray to reach nations and sing that we speak to nations. But the only way to change a nation is to change a generation. And the only way to change a generation is to change a family and to change me. Jesus is crucified, and on his deathbed or his death cross, no one from his family is there except Mary. His siblings aren't there. It seems like there should have been a sibling there to carry his cross for him. But they wanted no part of him. But here was Mary. Although she had birthed at least 6 other children, there was nothing like his conception and birth. And here she is, years beyond the shame and the condemnation that men threw on her for conceiving him, at the foot of the cross, witnessing history. Because one seed changes a generation. One seed changes a family tree. One seed changes. This seed in us, Jesus, this love of Christ birthed in us. And our cry this morning has to be, if I can just change one. If I could 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 just change. We have underestimated the power of one seed. If I can help one generation sooner, the blind will see, the deaf will hear, the dead will raise again, the lame areas of your life will leap, the dumb will speak. You stand with me all over this place. Right before Pastor Deaton and Pastor Judy lead us in this song, I want you to hear one thing that he said in the Song of Songs 2:14 through 15. Songs 2:14 through 15. In case you think it seems impossible, he said, "For you are my dove hidden in the split open rock." This is the bridegroom speaking to the Shulamite bride. "You are my dove hidden in the split open rock. It was I who took you and hid you up high in the secret stairway of the sky. Let me see your radiant face and hear your sweet voice. How beautiful your eyes of worship. How lovely your voice in prayer. You must catch the troubling foxes, those sly little foxes that hinder our relationship. For they raid our budding vineyard of love to ruin what I've planted within you. Will you catch them and remove them for me? We will do it together." And this morning, no matter where you run, no matter where you hide, we can't get away from this Jesus. We're never alone. We're never isolated. His love is always present, always in prisons, always ready to leap over the mountains that separate us from his people.